thank you guys for coming back, tuning in to another wonderful episode of GGA. Yeah, that's right. Good Game Alert. This is your host, Willard Jimerson, aka Willie J. So nice they named me twice. Man, I know you guys have been coming to this particular platform for quite some time and been getting some real raw and relevant content, and we never ever aim to displease or upset you in a way that we do not serve what it is that we cook up. And we're going to continue to keep cooking up some raw, real, and relevant content, you know, all the way from the streets to the executive suites. And man, I just want to say thank you to the viewing audience for just being committed to this process. You know, the Good Game Alert. You guys, I've been watching and reading your comments, and I love the support, you know, that Seattle, that King County, that the state of Washington has been showing. Big ups to everybody out there, man, because this is a reflection of you. This is really from the people, for the people, by the people, and of the people. You know what I'm saying? So with no further ado, man, I got a wonderful guest in the house, man. This is my brother, you know, a person that's really been, you know, sticking to the script, man. Is really just making, you know, waves in ways that we all need to be, you know, listening and paying attention to. You know, this brother has come from up underneath many rocks. You know, some people be like, man, he climbed up from underneath the rock. Man, there's some people who climbed up from underneath many rocks, you know, and they've been able to show you like they can get through these things, and they can be able to show, you know, give detailed information and experience and life lessons in ways that other people may not have some of the same depth. And so this brother to my left, man, we got Eddie Purpose, man. This brother is living life with a purpose, on purpose, by walking into his purpose, you know. And he got progress pushers. You know, there's been times people was pushed all types of stuff through our community. We've had, you know, the government push, you know, anthrax in the form of crack cocaine in our communities. We've had them push, you know, welfare, subsidiary exploitations, you know, through our community, man. And anytime we have somebody that's from us, from the community, from our people, who is pushing a product that we can get behind, and that's what we need to do. We need to support that. So that's one of the reasons why this brother's on this platform. Once again, with no further ado, we got Eddie Purpose in the house, brother. Thank you for showing up, man. You know, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we can get into some more real, raw, relevant content.
Well, thank you, my brother.
Yes,
appreciate
sir. Yes,
being here, man, on that Good Game Alert, man. Been watching a lot of the previous, you know, things that you've been putting out, man, and it's been some great content, some great guests, definitely necessary. So I want to shout you out for what you're doing. Beautiful platform that you got going. But thanks for having me, Eddie Purpose, once again. And yeah, man, as far as my background, you know, grew up in Federal Way, off that Park Highway, specifically Westway. And, you know, came from all the elements that, unfortunately, many of us who go through these areas, man, grew up in, man, and the gangs, the drugs, and everything else. And, you know, was pushed into the system, committed a crime at 16, left school to go commit a crime, and ended up doing 12 and a half years for that crime. And, you know, had to come to an understanding with a sense of myself and what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it and how I was going to do it. And really the concept of Progress Pushers really was birthed in 2009 when I had 6 years in and had 6 years left. And I was actually in the hole, writing down thoughts about what I wanted to do, how I wanted to see change in the community. And I began to think like this due to the brothers at the BPC, the Black Prisoners Caucus. Shout out to them at Monroe. A lot of good brothers there, man, who've been down for a while and some never getting out, and was lacing my boots, man, on just the importance of knowing and understanding more about me. And then also with that knowledge of self, I could then bring it back to the community to uplift opposed to destroy. And you know, with this mind frame and with these positive and great conversations and dialogues that I was having with these brothers, you know, I ended up going to the hole and I utilized that time to really just literally jot down my thoughts about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to do. And the Progress Pushers was a concept that was birthed right from there. And so literally what's on that list is a major part of what we're doing here today with Progress Pushers.
So you're saying that it was a vision that you held when you was pretty much, in the belly of the beast.
Absolutely.
And you had your thinking cap on and you was like, there's something that I want to do that is totally different than what's already been done in my life, so I can show up to do something different in the lives of others. And out of that birth what you're doing today. So just giving everybody a little bit of context of Progress Pushers, what does Progress Pushers entail?
So Progress Pushers is a youth and young adult mentorship, not program, but transformational process, as we like to say. And we work with youth and young adults ages 12 to 24. And we have groups, and those groups are up under the National Credible Messenger model. And in those groups, we have curriculum consists of life skills, real life skills that's coming from the community. We talk about the generational curses and, who are you when you look in the mirror? Who do you see? What are you not seeing that's preventing you from getting to your next self, to your best self? So all kind of different relevant topics concerning life skills, really just having man conversations, right? A lot of us coming from our backgrounds or in the household or in the school, we're unable to have these man conversations. And so we get down to the bottom of it, to the root of it. We talk about the importance of forgiveness. Maya Angelou said it herself, one of the best lessons that she's ever learned in life was the importance of forgiveness. So we definitely got subjects in that regard. But that's one phase of curriculum, which is life skills. We also have job readiness. So not just how to get the job, but how do you keep a job, right? Mock job interviews, resume writing, filling out job applications and all these things that's not really taught in schools and definitely not taught at home. To a population of youth and young adults who are most marginalized, to a population of youth and young adults who are impacted by the system. And what's beautiful about what we do is that it's done by individuals who have already been impacted by the system as well, right? So we get it. We come from these communities that these youth and young adults are in. We've battled certain experiences and situations that these youth and young adults are in as well. And so that's what allows us to be a little bit unique and different with the work that we do. So back to the curriculum, it's life skills, it's job readiness, it's civic engagement. Once we help build you up and help you see something within yourself, now it's about reaching out with the community, right? And being a part, allowing them to understand their importance in their community. So with that civic engagement piece, we allow them to really tackle social issues, research that social issue, and then find a solution. Because there's one thing about pointing out a problem, but if we don't point out a solution, then we're just complaining like everybody else. So that's that portion of curriculum. And then finally, we have our leadership development. And after completion of those courses, those youth and young adults are able to now become peer leaders to continue with this cycle of each one teach one.
Man, I like that. So it sounds like to me that there's a lot of hands-on that is going on with Progress Pushers.
Absolutely.
Like you're really getting into the murk and the mire of really addressing the core issues, that are, I guess you could say these young folks are confronted with, and really doing your best to be there with them. Like when you're talking about hands-on around the efforts of just learning how to do a mock job interview or just learning how to do a resume,
right,
building up their confidence to even see themselves in that particular capacity.
Right.
Like you're really walking through that process with them. And I can speak, candidly and fervently to it
Absolutely.
because I know what Progress Pusher does,
Absolutely.
and there's some people, unfortunately, who have never heard or probably don't know what Progress Pusher does, and this is their opportunity. So I don't want to squander any opportunity for them to really learn
Right.
and really get educated around this process.
Absolutely.
But also, just being on some, just thinking about your life trajectory. You serving 12 years in prison.
12 and a half.
12 and a half. You're right.
Yeah.
Because that all
six-
that we know,
Yeah, you know
when
that's
you do
6
time,
months. Yeah.
a day matters,
Right,
right? Every
absolutely.
day in there counts.
Absolutely.
And that's the day that you were away from your family, from your goals, from your community, from your ambitions and your desires just to live the life that you're currently living right now. But thinking about that, 12 and a half years, going in as a teenager, and then coming out as a man, or what society has deemed that you know, because you got hair on your face and you got, you know, a masculinity on your presence and a deep voice or whatever.
Right.
So there's a social expectation, but in reality, in context of real lived out life, you didn't have a lot of that. So what was some of your challenges coming home, and how were you able to overcome those challenges?
That's a great question. I would say some of the challenges definitely was just adapting to society, to life, like literally going in as a kid and then it being expected to now all of a sudden live life as an adult, right? With keeping this consideration that before I went to prison, I never had a job interview, let alone a job, right? I never paid a bill, right, as a kid before I went to prison. But now all of a sudden, as a grown man being thrusted back into society, I'm now expected to do these things and doing well, or we got a place for you, right? And so definitely just finding out my way, you know, and you know, like I tell the brothers when I do go back inside of the facilities, and the young brothers, because we also do work at Green Hill, preparation is key, right? So we got a thing called the five P's packet, right? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And for me, it was being prepared before I got released. Now we understand that circumstances changes plans, but at least you start with some type of preparation, some type of understanding of what you want to do that'll guide you, right? And so for me, it was vital that I stuck to that. And so my challenges definitely were, I would also say my challenges was the politics involved the community work, right? That was a challenge as well. And just mostly just adapting to life, man, you know, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you talking about adapting to life, right? Because I've known you when you came home. I've had the pleasure, the luxury of being around you and seeing your growth and your development and still being a part of that, and it's amazing. But I know that like you're the baby in your family. Yeah. When I mean baby, you're a grown man, but I'm just saying you're the last one to be birthed. You know, from your mother. You know, from what four, right? It's four of you guys.
Rest in peace to my sister.
Yeah, rest in peace to your sister. And and then you come home and there's like you said, being thrust back into society, and then thrust into these socialized roles that have so many different expectations that you haven't even been socialized in a way to prepare for these expectations, right? In these roles. And then I know that coming home, like you had these social expectations around family, these social expectations around community, these social expectations around the homies, you know, like what was some of your greatest or your biggest challenges in your way of, you know, I guess you could say in your transition back into society?
Okay, so in that context, I would definitely say the homies for sure. Because previous to incarceration, gang affiliated. During incarceration, gang affiliated. And so when I came home, the expectations from some of the homies was for me to still be that guy, right? And it sounded good when I was on the phone telling them how much I've changed and classes that I'm facilitating in prison, but it was still almost an expectation. No, it was. I actually fell out with a couple of the homies because I was actively pursuing something different and doing something different, right? But I still am the type of person where I'm still socializing with the homies, but it's in a different regard now, right? When I get with you, we talking about resumes. We talking about, do you have a job? We talking about, do you need housing? What is it gonna take for you to get to the next level in your life, right? And so for me, it could have been a tug of war, right? If I wasn't as strong as I was, the influence would have took me right back in the game, right? opposed to me being dead set and focused on, let me bring you guys this way, right? And so, but it was definitely a challenge because, to be honest, I found myself in a couple sticky situations upon my release, and then I looked up literally in the moment, like, what are you doing, right? And I had to have that aha moment. I had to reverse that mirror, put it to myself. How I do in the groups with the youth, I had to put it to myself and literally ask myself, what are you doing? We know where this is getting ready to lead to. Be careful. Right?
Yeah. And that's that real and that raw relevant content that is needed and necessary, you know, more so for the young folks that we engage in, or people who come from a particular lifestyle and they engage in that same lifestyle and they think that maybe for Willie or maybe for Eddie, there ain't those kind of challenges, right? They think that we may have addressed those challenges in our hiatus, you know, away from society, serving that time, kind of cocooned ourselves, build up this mantle, and was able to come home and just knock down every obstacle, right?
Absolutely.
Like, is people don't understand, it's that older age, like, you know, whatever dog, like if you got two pit bulls inside of you, one is, you know, from one lifestyle, one is trying to do another thing, whichever one you feed the most is the one that gets stronger, right? And then the other one tries to poke its head out, but it gets devoured and pushed to the side and bullied by the other one because it's deficient, it's malnourished, right? And so what I'm hearing as well, because I can relate, is that an aspect of you was malnourished because you grew up in a system, a subcultural, you know, a context that said this is the way I'm supposed to show up.
Absolutely.
And then the things you wanted to do. Now listen here, viewers. The things you wanted to do that you're currently doing now, which made it difficult. Because I know and I understand this. This what made it difficult. You didn't have all the networking nor the examples to be able to lead you in that direction. That's what makes it difficult. I had this conversation with my little brother, right? A few years back, several years back, actually, when I first came home, and I told him that he was trying to impress upon me, he probably don't even remember this conversation, how hard and how difficult that lifestyle is, in which I agree. It is a difficult lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It is a hard lifestyle, I understand that. But I told him the lifestyle that which I'm on, at this time I was at Bellevue College, right? And I was like, this is harder than being on the block. And he was like, nah. And I'm like, the reason why I'm gonna say it's harder, and I'm gonna give you this perspective. I don't have the networking and the socialization and all the people that I need in this world at my fingertips, you know, pretty much at my beck and call. I don't have them in the same regard that if I'm in the hood and I might be lost in the sauce, like most of them are, but I have support. Like, for example, you wake up and you live in that lifestyle. You're like, bro, I ain't got no weed, man. I'm trying to get some weed. You know, you can call several cats.
A whole bunch of them.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly, right? But if you're in this other lifestyle, you went through an unconventional route to show up at Bellevue College or any other college campus, and you like, I don't know what a scientific calculator is. Right? It's like, you don't have many options of who you can go to because all your relationships are over here. And you're trying to do something different other than where your support is at. So that's why this walk becomes difficult and harder, because you're now reestablishing your reputation in ways that these people don't know you. Over here, you know, Eddie Purpose, there's no Eddie Purpose over here. There's Tangeray over here. Little Tangeray. And he has a reputation, but he also has credibility in a way that puts him on a food chain that gives him a certain respect. Over here is like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? You know, like, who, what? You know what I mean? And then you have to
do what?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so just people don't understand that those complexities, you know, of coming out of certain things and still making way out of those things. And then in your essence, you are the example, because those people that you have relationships with, you still have those relationships. You just hold them in a different way. So now those individuals are looking to you to be like, oh, I didn't even know there was a way out, but Eddie Purpose got off the plantation.
You know, it's a trip that you just said that, because I just ran across one of the young homies who I actually met in prison. And, you know, during that time in prison, I was still off all the stuff. So, after a few conversations, a few meetings on the yard, he banging the hood in the joint. And, I ended up having him do a few things. But I seen him just about, matter of fact, at Malik, rest in peace, gathering at the Federal Way. And we still want justice for that too. Don't think we ain't done with that.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, we gathered over there and I seen him. And he said, man, bro, like I heard you was doing good stuff, but in a million years, I'd have never guessed it. And I wanted to know more because he clearly knew me when I was in the space where I wasn't off no progress push or nothing. We was pushing regress, right? Not progress. And so I said, man, why you say that? He said, just because of how you carried yourself, what you was on, I would have never guessed that you'd have been doing anything that you're doing right now. I thought you was gonna get back at, I thought you was gonna get out and go right back in. And that touched me, that definitely touched me. But it also made me feel good to know that this is how far I've evolved. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How many other people you think that thought you was gonna get out to return?
Man, a lot of people. But once I began to evolve in a certain way and started to socialize myself with different company, things begin to change, right? I began to, I began to evolve. And those people, they knew, right? But the people from this past formula, they still expected, there was still expectations attached to that, right? And so I would definitely say, a lot of people for sure, to be honest, even me at a certain point in life, a certain point in my time in prison, I didn't know which way I was gonna go, right? I wanted to do something different. I just didn't know what that different looked like. Yeah.
And that's heavy, man. And I want to kind of capture that right there because that's deep.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of us in life, there's a lot of young folks right now who want to do something, but they don't have a captured vision.
Yeah.
Right? And so it doesn't give them the onus or the encouragement just to go and do it. And sitting here listening to you and watching you and hearing your story, and you're telling me about a lot of clouded confusion at one particular time when it wasn't clear, but you still knew that was better for you.
Right.
And you did that anyway. Young folks need to hear that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to hear that, right? Because it's time to get cloudy for all of us.
Yeah.
But we know what the better thing is for us, and we may not know how to get there. We may not know how to draw up the plan and execute it, thoroughly and accurately, but keep pushing for progress.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing for progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like that. And I kind of want to double back a little bit around, you talked about, your history, your background, the work you're doing today. Incredible, amazing work, being relevant, bro, from the streets. Man, like a lot of people don't understand that. Like that's beautiful. That's beauty in itself. Because there's a lot of people that even the young folks say, we know the difference between a suit and tie individuals trying to tell us how to get our life together, but they ain't never smelt none of the funk that we've been exposed to, right? They don't even know what it smelled like. It's a bunch of squares talking about, hood business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you ain't got no business in those kind of politics, and especially on any other different setting, you'll get ran out of those different kind of circumstances. But people make professional careers off of it, so they stay around their constituents and they're able to do that. And so, but for you to come into space and offer something that is unique and be able to speak to the nuances around gun violence and gang violence and being able to disrupt and dismantle those things is very important.
Absolutely.
You talked about credible messengers, man. The national initiative that Progress Pushers curriculum is under, the work that is being done in that particular vein. I'm also part of Credible Messengers. We collectively went down to DC several years ago. Shout out to Washington, DC. The love that they show us. And New York. To Belinda Ramos and Ashley, Ellis. Shout out to you know, Clinton
Clinton
Lacey
Lacey,
and
come on, man.
King
King
Tone,
Tone.
you know, you know,
yeah.
saying Khalid,
Reverend Reuben.
Reverend Reuben, Kev, Chaz, all of
The
them,
list is
man.
about to go over.
Mr. Dotson, we don't
on,
want to miss
man.
nobody.
Charles Dotson, absolutely, man.
If
Come
we
on,
missed
man.
anyone, please forgive us.
Absolutely.
Man, assign it to our heads and not our hearts, you know.
But y'all put us on.
Absolutely, you know. And that was a beautiful thing that we was able to experience because we was able to see a gauntlet of folks in different positions who look like us.
Yep.
Who was like moderating and controlling of a system, but everybody in that system looked like us. So there was such a cultural relevance that it was unparalleled to any other experience I've had.
Yeah, most
You know,
definitely.
like I don't think you can do what you're doing in DC. Maybe outside of DC, I don't know if you can do that. Maybe in Harlem, I don't know. Maybe in Harlem, I don't know. We've been to Harlem. You know, we love. Shout out to Maurice too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying, to the
absolutely.
brothers, the credible messengers, beloved, and them and his brothers and Will and all those guys. Shout out to them guys as well. But it's like DC is a unique. I think that anybody, from my experience or our experience, and you can agree or disagree. I think like being trained in DC in that space, I think that like it does something to someone, right?
Yeah.
And being able to. So I want you to kind of speak into that. How has that like inspired you and encouraged you? Did it propel and push you to be in space the way you are right now with Progress Pushers?
Yeah, 100% because, well, I'll say this. Going back before we got trained, we were both working at Urban League. And shout out to my guy, Willie J, because when I first was released in 2015, Willie J was actually my first navigator. And I say navigator because I was his first client. Right?
Like, we don't say client.
We don't
but
say
you know,
client, but back then that's what the terminology. I was
yeah.
his first participant that he helped. And you know, shout out to the Urban League, shout out to Willie J.
Shout out to the Urban League.
Because
shout out to you, for real.
absolutely, man. But you know, I remember, you know, being helped out with you know, paying for my training when I wanted to do the barber college thing and
Which he's an excellent barber.
oh yeah, I was gonna come
Y'all
here this
don't know
morning,
that.
but man, come on, man.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
yeah.
asbestos removal, end up doing that. Just trying to try my hands in a few different fields before I hopped into the community, man, because I wanted to adjust and adapt, right? And I think that's very important. I think a lot of brothers get out and they say, man, I got a story to tell. I want to go holler at these youth, but you're not all the way right yourself, right? Because it sounds good on what you was doing in prison, but you haven't done that out here. And so a transition out here is very necessary before you just get thrusted into the community, telling these young folks how they need to have their stuff together, and you're still trying to get yourself together. Correct. So anyway, I appreciate that experience. But leading up to us working for Urban League, and then you know, being provided with the opportunity to go to DC to be trained, Urban League was the first place that I would say that I seen all of us doing the work that we're doing. But being trained in the National Credible Messengers in DC was the first time that I seen all of us doing this specifically for the youth and young adults, the next generation, this generation, right? And that was beautiful for me, man. Everybody coming from our backgrounds, right? Now working with the youth who specifically been impacted by the system. And so what that did for me was, it didn't just motivate and inspire me, because as we know, motivation and inspiration, it fades, but it empowered me. And that's what stayed with me, right? It empowered me to the point to where I said, this is what I want to do. I already was seeing the work through Urban League, but through the Credible Messenger model, it let me know that it can be done on a very huge scale and level, right? And so right after that, man, we ended up getting our 501c3, and our first area of service was at Green Hill Juvenile Facility, which is where we're still at, that we're offering virtual groups. We're getting ready to have an event there just to feed the youngsters. Coming as community, letting them know you ain't been forgotten. You know, we know
Talk
business been cut off and all that,
Yeah.
but we want to come up here, man, and
But you ain't been cut off.
you ain't been cut off.
Absolutely.
Nuh-uh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They need to
Yeah.
know that. They need to feel that. It sounds good when you're on social media talking about free the homies and free the youngsters, but we need to go up there and show you guys this.
Because there's a lot of online activists.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of them.
Yeah,
man.
there's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they fingers is banging for real.
Man.
They let you know what it is,
Yeah.
but they're not showing you nothing on what it is.
Correct, yeah.
And
not
so-
really having, you know, the real relevant tie-in, you know, with the population that they're saying they represent, man. And that's the difference that I feel, you know, with yourself and a few others that are really doing this work. There's a real connection with the population that they're serving. Like they'll be doing this whether they had some kind of funding or not. Right. I know that for a fact with Eddie P.
Absolutely.
With Eddie Purpose, I know that for a fact.
We've done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen you, you know, like, hey, let me go in my own pocket
Right.
to try to address a financial issue in the life of this young person.
Yep.
And then Willie, man, you got something to go on top of this. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like
absolutely.
I've seen you in those situations where
And it's done all out of love.
out of love.
Out of love, appreciation, respect, and because we've been there.
Correct.
That's the difference between other professional providers, service providers, you know, who actually hasn't been in those circumstances to be able to know the level of urgency that's needed. And so we know that. So, you know, we ain't gonna wait for no funds. Nah, here you go. Whatever's in my pocket, here you go.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not waiting for an RFP to have a relationship.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
that's real.
we're not waiting for that, right?
Right.
We really come from this. You really come
Right.
from the Merck and Meyer, and we understand, like you said, the sense of urgency around the flames of this young person's life, man. And and so I'm beyond, you know, words to explain like how proud I am of you. You know what I'm saying? Like for real though, on some real. You know what I'm saying? For real though, like I love you, bro. Whatever I can to support you. You know what I'm saying? You for real. Like we say it all the time. Like we know you the shit when everybody around you was fly. You know what I'm saying? And you are doing that. And when you get an opportunity, you make sure other folks around you or who come from where you come from and want to get out those situations, they also get an opportunity. Speak on some of that. Who are some of the folks you've been able to bring on to the team with Progress Pushers?
Oh man, you know, shout out to my bro, my friend Coy Graham. He actually was in Washington 4 months from Arizona, coming from Arizona, 4 months before he caught his case at 16. And throughout those 4 months, he came to Federal Way, so I actually knew him as we were kids. He ended up doing 10 years, been out almost 10 years.
Shout out to Coy.
Shout out to Coy, man. That, you know, great heart. Been there since the beginning of Progress Pushers. Obviously knows it, he gets it. You know, just 2 days ago, he went to the hotel, paid for some youngsters to stay, and you know, he's one of our navigators as well as our operations specialist. So we hired him on, which was well, I can't even say we hired him. I started with him, right, with Progress Pushers. So we getting ready to. I don't want to expose the new hire. But it's gonna be a big one, you know him. But it's gonna be a big one coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I don't want to expose it right now because it's still in the works. But you know, shout out to my brothers. You know, my big brother, man, he's our outreach coordinator, Terrence. You know, and he's one of the ones who, you know, when I didn't have a dad, when I didn't have a positive role model or role model period, right? He was the one who I looked up to, and I ended up, you know, traveling, following him down the same path, you know, and now he's in reverse, following me behind this path, right, of pushing progress through Progress Pushers, and he's learning more, and he's co-facilitating with me in one of our groups, and so shout out to my big brother. My other brother's getting ready to establish our music class through Progress Pushers. Shout out to him. You know, my wife, she's the chief of operations, handling extreme amount of business out behind the scenes. So shout out to her and the wonderful work that she's been doing. We just had our one of our strategists, was our cousin, Dr. Timmy Foster. I mean, the list goes on. Stella Mafi, you know, a credible messenger, also one of our navigators, administration support. So we definitely got a lot of we got a small close knit team, and we're continuing to expand.
Yes.
Doing wonderful things outside of the groups. We're also doing one-on-ones. So our navigators is meeting with young folks wherever they're at. Helping with rental assistance, helping with I remember a story with Charles Dawson, credible messenger in D.C. He told us a story about if they need a bed. We ain't getting no rinky-dink bed or no borrowed bed. We buying them real plush beds. And so that's the mentality that we having with the young folks in addressing their needs, right? And so we're offering one-on-ones, and so our navigators is doing a great job with that as well.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, bro, because you're right. That is one of the things that really sold me onto this aspect as well.
Yep.
Is, when you just brought up Charles, when he said, one of the things you said, get them what you would want.
Right.
Get them the same stuff you would want, right?
Yep.
Don't just get something put together. But I love the fact that you're able to assemble a team of people that you love, you trust, you support. And on the flip end, they love, they trust, and they support you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's beautiful because you brought your family into it. That goes to show you how powerful and how impactful your change is when your family is on board, right? Because there's some people who just do it, and the only people that's on board is their colleagues. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, where's your family at? Where's your community at? Where's the people at behind you? Like, I want to see what you look like when you pull up to your hood. You're not just to the, I want to see what you look like.
Right.
You know what I mean, dude? Because you want me to buy into you. You want me to buy into this aspect or this version of what you're selling when we're in the executive suite. But I want to see what you look like when you pull up to your hood. How do people respond to you? You know what I mean? And I definitely
can't do that.
No, a lot of people can't do that.
A lot of people can't do that. Yeah.
No, you're right. A lot of people can't do that. And I love the fact that with Eddie Purpose, you can.
Yeah.
Right? You do it. You're real. You're raw. You're relevant on all sides of the equation. You know what I mean? Like I done been in many different countless executive boardrooms with you, and I done been in many countless courtrooms with you. You know what I'm saying? I done been in, into the streets when we done touched the streets and never missed a beat.
Right.
We done showed up in some of the worstest circumstances, some of the worstest hoods. We done been in DC, leaving certain events at, midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning with, not stupid. We're not stupid, but with no fear because people can see, because there was, like Money Mike and those, shout out to Money Mike and Musa, man. Man, tell you, like, we can look at you guys, we just know what's up.
Right, absolutely.
We know y'all the real, out of everybody that was being trained here, that was like, these, let's connect with these brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Absolutely, and they always and continue to roll out, the red carpet, so to speak, Tarif and all those brothers, man. And, I know that we're getting a little close here, but there's a few things that I want to land on before we get to another leg of this, man, bro. There's so much we can chop it up with.
I know.
You definitely got to come back. I'm gonna just say that. You know what I mean? We definitely got to, do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever version. And then we also want to get to the point where we're gonna do a round table. That means we're gonna bring you back. We're gonna bring, Brains back. We're gonna bring, DeVita Briscoe. We're gonna bring, saying all the hitters that's been on this particular platform. Young folks. We're gonna bring everybody back in the space, man, and just kind of like have a round table and really just, just eke it all out, man. And I know there's some people, there's these whispers and people trying to get an understanding of, man, we know Will and Eddie, man, the COVID-19 is hit. They think it hasn't slowed down none of our progress. We just was able to reshape, reshift, and figure some things out, and we
adapt
still
to what's going
adapting,
on.
right?
We come from people who adapt anyway.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And we're still connected with our community. We're still out here. We're still doing these interviews in many different ways. And they were just kind of, some people are wondering, like, what happened to everybody? Like, the team that had between Will and, and I just kind of want to speak to it and just kind of like let it be known, like, there's just things that happen. Nipsey Hussle said it, and I think it was, and if we get a chance, I'm gonna share the clip with my great producer, executive producer, Young O, and hopefully we have permission to be able to share that clip. But Nipsey was talking about people making a move, right? And then making a move and sacrificing people in the process to make their move, but then they end up damaging their character by making this move. They might be able to make the move, but then they're left with this mark, this stain of what they did. And and I just want people to know that Will and Eddie is still out here, still pushing progress, still united, with our better thinking.
Absolutely.
We're still making it happen. We just went through some hurdles of being around individuals and people who haven't been as honest and thorough and as solid and as loving and forgiving as we would have loved them to be.
And just like there's snakes in the streets, there's snakes in this community. And at the end of the day, like they say, keep your grass cut, right? But that being said, as far as the Credible Messenger, me and Willie's getting ready to put together a community Credible Messenger training. We haven't had the dates yet, but we have been getting a lot of different calls, emails, and contacts from individuals wanting to be trained.
Talk to them about the Power Group Summit too after you hit that.
Oh yes. So we will be putting out that date on what that's going to be like, but that's going to be through Progress Pushers and United Better Thinking, and together we're the real Credible Messengers. Those who have been asking will be putting out a tentative date pretty shortly here. But the Power Group Summit. So myself and Willie have been for the last year or so, man, been going back and forth with putting together a Power Group Summit, and that's bringing all gangs from all sides, from King County to Pierce County, Seattle to Tacoma, and everything in between, and having a Power Group Summit, man, where we talking about relevant issues, where we talking about what's it going to take for the next steps to take place as far as in our community, working together collectively, right? We know there's a lot of things going on with the young folks, man, and a lot of death and bloodshed that's taking place, but we also want to be able to provide an outlet on a large scale for them as well, us as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man. People definitely need to stay tuned,
Stay tuned.
with the training we're going to be offering with the community, with the Power Group, summit that we're going to be doing, man.
And we always got events.
Yeah.
We just had an event in West Seattle where we was at the Safeway off Roxbury.
Right into the community.
Yeah,
brought it right
it was
there.
beautiful. We was giving away that Texas barbecue from C. Davis, free hand sanitizer, masks, information on Progress Pushers, what we're doing. Willie had multiple events, all in the community, CD and elsewhere. We getting ready to have another one in Federal Way. It's looking like the end of this month or beginning of next month. So we'll put out that information. We're getting ready to have one at Green Hill, like I said. So, on top of the groups and us building and bonding, on top of the one-on-ones and addressing needs and helping to identify goals and pursue goals for the young folks, we also doing events and just showing up in the community where we're supposed to be and still offering and showing that love in a health capacity. Of course, we got our masks and all that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, bro. You know what I mean? It's needed, especially during these times where, social distancing orders are in effect. Yeah. We're dealing with a pandemic within the pandemic, but only one of those are being funded. The reality is,
it's too much time to talk about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when we talk about social distancing, black folks and brown folks, we've been social distanced, on the north shores of America for the last 400 plus years.
Come on, man.
So, we want to make sure that we close that divide or that gap between educational justice and, the legal system and so forth and so on. So I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing, and I'm glad to be side by side with another general, that's unafraid to not only give the orders, but also execute them if you have to as well. But last but not least, bro, I want you to let people know how can they get in contact with Progress Pushers, man. To not only volunteer and support, but they need to, man, there's people, everybody can't do what you do.
Yeah.
And that's understandable.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And people, all hats to you and the team and everything that's being done with Progress Pushers, Credible Messengers, so forth and so on. All hats off to you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is everybody can go inside their some kind of pocketbook, make some kind of considerable donation.
Yeah.
So how do they make a contact to be able to make that happen?
So I would like to, so with that being said, so our website is still under construction right now. Shout out to our operations specialist, Coy. He's been working diligently on that. Which should be up and running within the next couple weeks or so. But info@progresspushers.org. You can definitely shoot us emails there. You can shoot your donations through there. Find out how you can get with our donations process through that. Progress Pushers on social media is also available through Facebook, through IG. So yeah.
So you guys heard it. Hit up Progress Pushers info. Oh, we're gonna get to this too. We're gonna get to this. info@progresspushers.org.
Yep.
And is there also a phone number they can hit?
Yes.
But we're searching ourselves. Huh?
Tell us about the shirt.
So while ADP is searching himself around this, I definitely want to inform you guys, man. These are, I mean, these joints is hot. You got this electric blue behind this beautiful dynamic black background. Oh, right here. Come on, man. These joints is hot.
Come on.
Listen, if you want to support, this is how you can support. I support it, man. I got two. $25 a pop, man. That's nothing, man. That's gonna go help, a youth or a family put some food in their mouths, put some food on their tables, keep the lights on, be able to give them another opportunity, whether it's through educational opportunity, whatever. Remember, there's times we buy shirts that it don't profit no one except for maybe ourselves and obviously the corporate or the big business that we're buying these shirts from, hence the one I got on now. I don't think nobody is probably eating off of that other than already rich folks. But this right here, I know exactly where it's going. Progress Pushers, man. Like I told you, I had to get two because I got to have one that I can wear out, when I want to dress up and show out, but I also got to have one that I can take to the gym with me, I can sweat in so I can have a full representation, also on the back.
So on the back.
Come on, man. You walking around with a message. The message is, if there is no struggle, there is no progress, and that is from one of our ancestors, our forefathers, Frederick Douglass, man. And I know that Frederick Douglass has a lot and means a lot to this brother in particular, man. Even myself, but I know that Frederick Douglass really love that brother. So you guys, man, don't be the only one who's missing out on this merchandise, on this apparel. Once again, go to info@progresspushers.org. You want to get on to know how you can support, how you can get these shirts, and ADP, hit them with the number.
And to find out more about what we're doing. And, if you're pushing progress in any part of your life, we definitely want you to be involved and to definitely get you one of these shirts because you're pushing progress. So the number also to reach us, I had to find our new work number. 253, that's 344-7433. Again, 253-344-7433.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, bro. I can't wait to have you back on this show so we can just kind of update people on more what we're doing, through these particular efforts, man. Yep. It's been a wonderful, wonderful meet. Because we didn't even get into the fact when we was in D.C. how I kind of like grounded up you and your wife, your now wife, Mahogany.
We
gonna get back. We gonna have, that's what I said, Shout outs to Mahogany too, man. To sis, man. Always keeping it raw and real. She definitely could be a co-host to this show. You know what I mean? Like seriously, shout out to everybody out there, man. And anybody that we've missed, we apologize. Like I said, charge it to our heads and not to our heart because it's nothing but love. If you want to continue to keep getting in contact with us, ConvergeMedia, my producer, Young O, he got a lot to do, but he ain't going back to school, man. This young man he want to get back to school and do what he does in the broadcasting world, but due to the pandemic, he's unable to go back. So you guys is making donations that helps him out, you know, to be able to keep doing what he's doing. It helps out other folks for this program is done for free, not for a fee. So I want you guys to know, man, by your donation just helps us to be able to pay for the space that we're in, to be able to, you know, make sure that our guests have some water or some every once in a while we may have some snacks or some food, but we just want you guys to know, man, it's all going in the right direction. And just thank you to the viewing audience for your love, for your support, for your commitment. This is Seattle, supporting Seattle, and I definitely appreciate it. This has been another wonderful episode of GGA, Good Game Alert. Peace from Willie J.
Hey, don't play.
Absolutely, bro.
Oh,
You already know, man.
Appreciate
Nothing
you,
but
man.
love, man.